Beneath the soil we walk on lies a hidden world of intelligence we're only beginning to understand. Recent discoveries have revealed that plants possess a sophisticated form of memory, allowing them to navigate obstacles underground even after those obstacles are gone. Join us as we explore this groundbreaking research that challenges everything we thought we knew about plant cognition and memory itself. This isn't just plant biology, it's a journey that will make you question the very nature of intelligence and memory across all living things. In 2020, a team led by Dr. Gabriele Mosca at the Institute of Science and Technology Austria made a discovery that would shake the foundations of plant biology. Using Arabidopsis thaliana, commonly known as Thala cress, they designed an elegant experiment with transparent microfluidic devices that allowed them to observe root growth in real time. What they witnessed was extraordinary. When roots encountered barriers in these devices, they naturally changed direction to navigate around them. But the truly remarkable observation came when researchers removed these barriers. Rather than resuming straight growth, the roots continued growing as if the obstacle were still present, maintaining their curved growth pattern for hours afterward. As Dr. Mosca explained, it was as if the root tip had formed a spatial memory of where the barrier had been. This wasn't what we expected to see at all. This wasn't a random occurrence, it was a consistent pattern that suggested something profound: plants remember. The experimental setup revolutionized how we observe plant behavior, allowing unprecedented real-time visualization of root navigation. Using high-resolution time-lapse imaging, researchers tracked hundreds of individual roots over periods ranging from several hours to multiple days. The data revealed that roots consistently maintained their altered growth patterns for an average of 7.3 hours after obstacle removal, with some specimens exhibiting memory effects for up to 24 hours. The statistical consistency made these findings particularly compelling. When compared to control groups that had never encountered obstacles, the difference was unmistakable. Control roots grew in relatively straight lines with only minor random deviations, while roots that had encountered obstacles maintained precise curved trajectories that mirrored the shape of the removed barrier with remarkable accuracy. This wasn't random growth, it was a deliberate response based on stored information about an obstacle that no longer existed. Unlike humans and animals that rely on neural networks for memory formation, plants have evolved entirely different mechanisms that achieve remarkably similar functional outcomes. Using fluorescent voltage-sensitive dyes, researchers discovered that when a root encounters an obstacle, it generates a specific pattern of electrical potentials across cell membranes in the root tip. These bioelectric patterns persist even after the obstacle is removed, creating what researchers now call a bioelectric memory imprint that continues to influence growth direction. The memory appears to be stored in the distribution of ion channels and membrane potentials rather than in specialized cells. As Dr. Mitsuhiro Okada at Kyoto University notes, we are essentially witnessing a form of non-neural, physical memory. The plant is encoding environmental information in patterns of bioelectric signaling that persist through time. This represents a paradigm shift in our understanding of memory itself, demonstrating that sophisticated information processing can occur without neurons or a centralized brain. Further investigation has revealed the precise molecular mechanisms behind this remarkable phenomenon. When a root tip makes contact with an obstacle, mechanosensitive ion channels in the cell membranes open, triggering calcium ion influxes that create distinctive voltage gradients across the root apex. These gradients activate secondary messenger systems involving auxin transporters, specialized proteins that regulate the distribution of growth hormones within the root. The resulting asymmetric hormone distribution causes differential cell elongation, effectively bending the root away from the obstacle. What's truly remarkable is that once established, these bioelectric patterns become self-sustaining through positive feedback loops involving voltage-gated ion channels and membrane polarization states. The system effectively locks in the memory of the obstacle through persistent changes in membrane potential that continue to influence auxin transport long after the physical stimulus has been removed. This elegant mechanism allows plants to store and retrieve spatial information without a brain, a fundamentally different approach to memory than anything we see in the animal kingdom. This memory mechanism likely evolved as an energy-saving adaptation with significant ecological benefits. By remembering the location of obstacles, roots avoid repeatedly exploring the same unproductive regions of soil. Computer modeling suggests this memory-based navigation strategy reduces energy expenditure by approximately 37% compared to strategies requiring continuous rediscovery of obstacles. The ecological significance becomes apparent when considering the heterogeneous nature of soil environments. Natural soils contain countless obstructions, from rocks and hardened clay deposits to decaying organic matter and the roots of competing plants. A root system that can efficiently navigate this complex underground landscape gains significant advantages in resource acquisition. Field studies in natural settings have confirmed the laboratory findings. When researchers examined root systems in undisturbed prairie soils, they found that roots of native grasses exhibited growth patterns consistent with obstacle memory, creating intricate three-dimensional architectures that maximized exploration efficiency. In resource-limited environments, this memory-guided navigation provides a critical competitive edge, allowing plants to allocate energy to growth and reproduction rather than redundant exploration. The temporal aspect of this memory system appears finely tuned to ecological timescales. The typical duration of the memory effect, several hours to a day, matches the average time required for a growing root to navigate beyond a typical soil obstacle. This suggests the memory system has been optimized through evolutionary pressures to maintain information long enough to be useful without committing resources to unnecessarily long-term storage. This temporal calibration represents a fascinating example of how evolution has fine-tuned plant cognition to match the specific challenges of their environment. The memory duration isn't arbitrary, it's precisely what's needed for efficient navigation in soil environments. This optimization reveals the sophisticated balance between resource allocation and information processing that has evolved in plant systems over millions of years. The discovery of bioelectric memory in plants has sparked interest far beyond plant biology, particularly in the field of biocomputing. Engineers at the University of the West of England are exploring how plant bioelectric memory can inspire entirely new forms of organic computing that store information in bioelectric patterns rather than digital bits. These systems could potentially process information with significantly lower energy requirements than conventional electronic computers while offering unique capabilities for interfacing with biological systems. Prototype biocomputing devices using cultured plant tissues have already demonstrated the ability to perform simple pattern recognition tasks by encoding information in bioelectric states. This represents a radical departure from silicon-based computing, opening possibilities for computers that operate more like living systems, with distributed memory, self-repair capabilities, and dramatically lower energy requirements. By learning from how plants process and store information, we may be developing the foundations for the next revolution in computing technology. NASA researchers have taken a particular interest in how microgravity affects root bioelectric memory, with significant implications for growing plants during long-duration space missions. Initial experiments aboard the International Space Station have revealed fascinating results. While the fundamental mechanisms of bioelectric memory remain intact in microgravity, the spatial patterns formed are significantly altered. Understanding these changes is critical for developing agricultural systems for future lunar or Martian habitats, where plants will encounter gravitational conditions different from those they evolved in on Earth. As we look toward establishing sustainable human presence beyond our planet, the ability to grow plants in space becomes increasingly important. These plants won't just provide food and oxygen, they'll need to adapt to entirely new environmental conditions. By understanding how root memory functions in different gravitational environments, scientists can develop specialized plant varieties and growth systems optimized for space agriculture, potentially enabling sustainable food production for future space colonies. The distributed memory system in plant roots has inspired revolutionary new designs for soft robots that can navigate complex environments without centralized control systems. Engineers at Stanford University's biomimetics laboratory have created prototype soft robotic systems that use distributed electrical signaling networks modeled after plant roots. These robots can navigate maze-like environments by forming and storing memories of obstacles in patterns of electrical activity across their structure, allowing them to operate effectively in environments where traditional sensors and control systems would fail. Unlike conventional robots with rigid bodies and centralized computer control, these plant-inspired soft robots distribute both sensing and decision-making throughout their physical structure. This approach creates machines with unprecedented adaptability and resilience. They can squeeze through tight spaces, navigate around obstacles without complex programming, and even continue functioning if parts of their structure are damaged. By mimicking the distributed intelligence of plant roots, these robots represent a fundamental shift in robotics design, moving away from centralized control toward embodied intelligence where the physical structure itself participates in information processing. Perhaps most profoundly, this research challenges our anthropocentric view of memory and cognition. Dr. Paco Calvo, a philosopher of plant cognition at the University of Murcia, suggests, if we define memory as the encoding of past experiences that influence future behavior, then plants demonstrate memory. The bioelectric mechanism may differ from neural memory, but it serves the same purpose functionally. As research continues to unveil the sophisticated information processing capabilities of plants, we are compelled to reconsider fundamental questions about the nature of intelligence, memory, and even consciousness. The discovery of bioelectric memory in plants represents not only an advance in plant biology, but a significant step toward a more inclusive understanding of cognition that transcends the neural-centric paradigm that has dominated scientific thought. This paradigm shift forces us to consider that intelligence may take many forms throughout nature, forms we've been blind to because they don't resemble our own neural-based cognition. By recognizing the sophisticated information processing occurring in plants, we gain a more complete understanding of the diverse ways that living organisms sense, remember, and respond to their environments. The future of this research field promises even more revolutionary insights. Preliminary studies suggest that bioelectric memory in plants may extend far beyond simple spatial navigation to include more complex environmental information. There is emerging evidence that plants may form memories of seasonal patterns, chemical signals from neighboring organisms, and even specific combinations of environmental stressors. As we develop more sophisticated tools for visualizing and manipulating bioelectric signals in living tissues, we stand at the threshold of discovering entirely new dimensions of plant intelligence. Current research is exploring whether plants might share memory information between different parts of their structure, or even between neighboring plants through root networks and fungal connections. Some scientists are investigating whether bioelectric memory might play a role in how plants recognize and respond to repeated threats like herbivores or pathogens. The implications could transform agriculture, ecology, and our fundamental understanding of plant life. We may be witnessing just the beginning of a scientific revolution that fundamentally transforms our relationship with the botanical world, recognizing plants not as passive organisms but as sophisticated information processing entities with unique forms of memory and intelligence. What began as an unexpected observation in a laboratory has blossomed into a profound reconsideration of plant intelligence and the very nature of memory itself. The discovery that plants can remember spatial information through bioelectric patterns challenges our understanding of cognition, and demonstrates that sophisticated information processing doesn't require neurons or brains. This bioelectric memory system, evolved over millions of years, allows plants to navigate the complex underground world with remarkable efficiency, saving energy and maximizing resource acquisition. Beyond botany, this discovery has inspired innovations in biocomputing, space agriculture, and soft robotics, demonstrating how understanding plant cognition can drive technological advancement. Perhaps most importantly, it compels us to adopt a more inclusive view of intelligence in nature, one that recognizes the diverse ways that living organisms process information. As research continues to unveil the sophisticated cognitive abilities of plants, we're forced to reconsider our relationship with the botanical world that surrounds us. These silent, seemingly passive organisms are engaged in complex information processing, storing memories, and making decisions, just through mechanisms entirely different from our own. In the hidden world beneath our feet, plants remember their journeys, revealing a form of intelligence that has been there all along, waiting for us to recognize it. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates. Your feedback is appreciated.